Today we are talking about entertainment, COVID-19 and entertainment, how the industry is faring, how the industry has fared, and government support generally, looking at the movie industry to be specific. And today I have with me Oscar, our very own actor, veteran actor, Oscar Provencal. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you, and thanks for having me on your show.
I thank you once again for honoring the invitation. Basically, I would first of all want to know how you are faring personally. How are you faring in this COVID-19 pandemic?
By the grace of God, like everybody else, I think it's simply by the grace. And if you look at the challenges that COVID has in preventing COVID and all the protocols that we have to go, observing them, washing your hands, watching where you touch and not touching your face and your nose and your God knows. It's very unlikely you can do that successfully 100% of the time. And, really, we're in these days and age, we're living by the grace. So I can only say simply by grace.
It's by the grace of God. Let's now move straight into our conversation. Um, do you think the movie industry has adjusted to the COVID-19 pandemic? Do you think they've been able to adjust? And like we are in the new normal, so people are trying to adjust, schools are reopening and all of that. Do you think the movie industry specifically have been able to adjust to meet the demands of COVID-19?
That's a huge question. And I think we're still in the midst of the pandemic. No matter what anybody says, I always say that no matter what um, protocols that are asked to be observed, no matter what actions government takes in terms of opening up the country slowly, you have to abide by wisdom and common sense. If you've educated yourself enough about this pandemic, you should know that you're not 100% safe. So you should definitely take your destiny into your own hands at a particular point in time and use a lot of wisdom, a lot of discretion, and a lot of common sense. So when it comes to the industry, we've been hit like every other industry, and as far as I'm concerned, we'll probably be hit one of the hardest, especially at a time where we are trying to get the industry to grow again, because there was an obvious dip. And we had an amazing start with that. And unfortunately, of course, it's going to hit. The industry employs, I don't have the stats, but I can tell you it probably employs over 10,000 to 20,000, 30,000 people in this country alone. That's a huge number of people who are sitting home and not earning an income. At the bottom of, the end of the day, it's all about earning an income, a living wage, so you can look after your family and all that. So in that, yes, I think that it has caused quite a huge damage to the industry. It's the same everywhere in India and America, and all the industries are affected. Um, so we'll see what happens going forward. And I would advise that we move with caution. Nobody takes a gun and puts it to your head and say, go and act with a bunch of people. So if you think that it is not safe for you at this point in time, you're not confident enough of the states, the protocols to keep you safe, I would advise that you're not going to a production unless they can prove beyond reasonable doubt that they can provide that safety and that surety for you. If they can't, your health and your life means much more than a film.
I saw the active role you played when it came to demanding for the National Film Authority. We have that now. We have the board inaugurated by the president and all of that. We even had the local committee being set up. I would want to know, you mentioned that because of COVID-19 things have slowed down, but what really are your expectations, and do you think that they would be met?
Expectations are obviously high. We haven't been through this fight for over 20 years to have low expectations. We have high expectations of those who have been placed in authority to manage their affairs as they are. Unfortunately, COVID has slowed it down, but you all know that in times of disaster, there's always opportunity, and there's even more room for more creativity. And so, as we're going forward, I think that, and it's not just left up to the board and those who will be employed in the NFA, it's also for us in the industry to comply with the law, to work with them so that we can all produce a positive outcome within the shortest possible time. And so it's got to be all hands on deck.
During the media budget review, the only part I heard the finance minister talk about the creative industry was where he mentioned that as part of the coronavirus alleviation program, 30 million Ghana cedis would be allocated to the creative industry and the media. We don't really know the details as to how much exactly goes to which, the creative and the media. But let me hear a reaction to the media budget and how the creative industry was tackled.
Uh, I, I haven't, and I didn't hear his speech, and I haven't read um, uh, the text of it. So I'm going to be generic here. Look, any support we can get from government at this time or any other time is important. Sometimes we are hard on government, and we ought to be. But the question is, and I always say it, what have we done and told the duty bearers that we need? Have we pushed them hard enough? And we must begin to push them because there's a national cake for everyone, for all sectors. So we have to show our relevance. If we can show to government what our contribution is to GDP. Today they'll say the tourism industry brings in, I don't know how many, how much of GDP to government, but they are taken seriously because they contribute. So it's not for the lack of contribution, it's a lack of the data to show that we are contributing. We all know Ghanaians watch films every day, in their homes, wherever. We all know. We all know the contribution to wellness and mental health and the jobs that it is creating. We all know. But where's the data? And it is now that we must concentrate on getting that data, doing that research alongside other things, but more importantly, to tell government one day that, listen, we contribute 10% of GDP to Ghana. Government will begin to sit up, say, we need to invest in these people. So it's not more about fun and games. We have to be pragmatic at a certain point in time. And so we have to understand how government works, how they view sectors and their contribution. And so you can talk plenty, talk plenty, talk plenty, talk. But at the end of the day, how do you get them to move? And it's not just sitting on radio talking and doing chobwe and demonstrations, and that's not all. A lot more goes into it. So for the meantime, I can't say is it enough? Nothing is ever going to be enough. Are we grateful? Yes, we're grateful.
Is it a case that the industry players are not pushing for it or are not supporting the cause for a better industry?
I keep on saying we must understand the big picture. So Yvonne went in there, wonderful woman, worked with her. I don't know whether she reached out to anybody. But if you go in there by yourself and think you have the capacity to make change, voila, go ahead. When a change doesn't happen, don't blame anybody. Because the fight is far bigger than an individual. And I'm not saying this only about Yvonne, I'm talking about all of us. And one of the things that was holding us back was that there were so many people going to duty bearers and representing themselves as the industry. And so this one will come and say this one. This one too will come and say this one. They all go as individuals, seeking their own self-glory, aggrandizement, whatever it is. But you don't come together as a collective. And if you keep on going as individuals, you'll be treated like an individual. When you come on block, that this is the industry, these are the people mandated, they are government will sit up because it's not just the voice of an individual. It's 10 associations, 20 associations, leadership speaking with one voice, speaking. We see it with TUC. We see it with other sectors in the industry. So why not us? So really, we have to sit up as stakeholders and understand how we have to move the machinery of government to get what we want. Otherwise, it will take another 20, 30 years.
So people are raising concerns about the caliber of actors we are raising these days. Some feel if you are a slay queen in quotes, or if you are probably famous on the internet, then you are qualified to be an actor. What do you make of that?
My dear, you see the sky, you see the stars. There's plenty space for more stars. Oh. Everybody and their space. I am not against anybody creating their own space. What I'm for is when you do so in a manner that preserves our values, you know, and we must remember the little children are watching us. What is the legacy we are leaving behind for them? Those are the things that we need to be thinking about. But if you get up one day and say, I want to be a frog, so now go on social media and say I'm a frog, then be a frog. There is a natural law of nature. They say the wheat shall be separated from the chaff. Don't worry about it. Ground, they say it has no level. When you walk small, I guess you put on bare level. Yeah, in Ghana. Yeah, when you walk small, when you get steep, you know how to hold your body. People are investing in themselves to build their capacity, whether it's through their guardians or through themselves. We must recognize that we must do same. So maybe instead of going there and thinking that I should buy the latest BMW that is passing, I should go and invest in myself. Instead of wearing all the flashy clothes and coming to do bling bling, bling bling, stand on catwalk and spend 10,000 Ghana cedi on a dress and a shoe, maybe I should think about investing in myself. So the dynamics are going to change, and everything is about how you're going to monetize and earn an income. If you move in a direction where you will not earn an income, now because it's not a fair world out there. We're all competing for the same thing. And our industry and we as human beings are really no different from any other sector. No different. We all face the same challenges. As a musician, they are facing the same challenges I'm facing. So we're all in the boat. So when we see ourselves like that, we'll know how to prepare and conduct ourselves. You are a presenter. Do you want to be, look, in 20 years' time, if you dare, I'm telling you seriously, in 20 years' time, God willing that I'm alive, then you bring microphone and come and stand in front of me that you are still presenter, holding microphone, coming to interview me with no teeth. I'll insult you. I don't expect you to be staying here for the next 20 years. No. So what is it that you've got to do to build yourself up to move to the next level? But we get caught up in the fun and games. Hey, Inspector, then my head is big. They are flowing me fans. Yeah. I think it will last forever. Before you realize 10 years, 20 years pass and you are still standing still. And you are blinking your eye like this. What has happened? So look, like I said, we all have a lot to learn and we all have to move forward as much as possible as we can. And that's for me is the most important thing.
And that was my next question. So let's wade into the argument of movie doesn't pay or acting doesn't pay. How is it like? How is the payment system like, or how is the revenue generation like for actors and even movie producers?
Oh, well, look, I don't think I'm the one to divulge what actors are paid. But listen, we must always recognize if we are going to juxtapose ourselves against nations like America and other places, we are nowhere near there. Number one, we should recognize we are still in our embryonic stages. And number two, have we developed an internal market that is generating enough revenue that allows us to pay better wages? Number three, the producers themselves, are they willing to pay for the right price. And I'm saying this because you'll find out that many a time, and I look at this country, we are 30 million Ghanaians. And I say that, listen, we don't even need to go outside this country to market our products. Let's even market our products to 10% of this population, 3 million Ghanaians. Assuming that we have a system in place to tap 3 million Ghanaians who are buying our products every day. It's like selling toilet roll and getting 3 million people to buy every day. And if you are making one cedi, or 50 pesos per person, how much is that revenue? For purposes of ease, one cedi, that's 3 million cedis. Ask yourself how much investment they put into that production. And they'll tell you that, oh, maybe about 50,000 Ghana. Are you telling me for 50,000 Ghana, even 100,000 Ghana, you get a return of 3 million Ghana? Ashanti Gold Fields will close down and make film. And that's only 10% of the population. You haven't gone to Nigeria. You haven't gone anywhere else.
The perception actors or actresses or creative industry players put in our mind is that they're doing well and the money is good because we see them flaunting a lot of cars, dresses, and like you can see that, okay, this is good. But is it the case that maybe they are doing their own thing and giving them that, or it's not the movie industry that gives you that flashy bit?
Everybody has a platform. If you are an actor, and by virtue of that, you have risen to a certain level that affords you the opportunity to take advantage of that space, for you to take advantage of the favor. And you must understand, you must have the ability to recognize and how to use that favor God has given you at that dispensation. Well, if it passes, it passes. You might not get it again. So don't blame people for showing their wealth. And why? Do you want them to walk around in rags looking dirty? They're building a brand. And we understand what building brands are all about. Maybe they're not thinking about their little space in Ghana. They're looking global. So they know how to build their brand, and then somehow they'll be able to take advantage of those opportunities. So I have no problem with those of them who do that. If you are living a false life, that's between you and your God. Hunger they catch you, and you want to be in flashy car and this thing. Meanwhile, to hunger they catch you. That's your matter. But I would advise that in this life that we are living, in this industry that we are not so certain of the future, in terms of employment and regular employment, regular work, we all have families to feed. We all have school fees to pay, parents to look after. And I always say, so we don't make the mistakes of the past, so that in our old age we are found wanting. You have to begin to live your life in such a way you are business conscious, investment conscious, and saving conscious. So if today you want to impress and you go and buy a $50,000 Range Rover, instead of making a $50,000 investment which will bring you returns, that Range Rover, every time you put petrol inside, it will chop your money. Every time you send it for servicing, it will chop your money. So our orientation as actors and people in the creative space must be towards making sure we have a comfortable life at the end of the road. So you can drive all these flashy cars. COVID has proven that flashy car means nothing. All the big cars, they were packed. Nobody moved. Nobody. So what is car? So my advice to the younger ones who are coming up, have a more investment-prone mindset, investing in yourself in terms of building capacity, investing your resources so that you can build your savings and your earnings, and take advantage of the favor God has given you so that whatever platform that you have, you can find a way of monetizing it responsibly to your benefit and to the benefit of others.
This is when you got the hype and then the fame, and that was one of your breakthroughs. And from the 1990s, you've been doing a number of movies until now. I think I saw you in Sin City, exactly. So, but now I would want to know what it is like for you. You've been there, you are still there, but how is it like for an actor who was there? Do you still get the attention? Do you still get the gigs? Do you still get movie producers coming to you? How is it like for you?
Well, I'm happy you're asking me specifically about myself because I can't really speak for others. Look, I have been extremely fortunate and extremely blessed to still be in this industry and still be relevant after 20, 30 years. Um, and, you know, when I talk about grace, everybody thinks, here he goes again. He thinks he's this man, he doesn't know God. We know God. But it's purely grace.
Aside the acting bit, do you engage in other activities? Have you moved to other businesses? What do you do aside acting?
I have not been limited to acting. Back in those days, I was doing voiceovers. I still do voiceovers. So way back, 20 years ago, as I started my career, we somehow changed the face of voiceovers in this country if people get to know the kind of adverts that were being done. And thanks to organizations like Lintus, who really had faith in me, and a lot of other organizations that had faith in me, I was given the opportunity to do some of these things. And so, apart from voiceovers, we did billboards. I think there was one advert called Protector Condoms. And that was like my biggest thing. Here I was, Inspector, but yeah, I could doing a condom advert. I said, hey, Charlie, what would the people say? What would the people say? That today, I'm still doing the things that I love. Film and the creative space basically is my passion. And I left it for a while to go into the corporate world. But I've decided that, I'm getting older and then my retirement may be coming somewhere in a couple of, a decade or so or something. So do I really want to spend it behind a desk? I want to follow my passion. So at the end of the day, I'm not going to look back and say I have regrets. I want to be fulfilled in what God has given me as a talent. And so that's what I've decided to do. But I'm not limited to that. The Bible says it's only a fool who doesn't change his mind. So
I would want to hear your final take or your final advice, or what you would want better, government-wise, what you think should be done better to the creative industry players, movie producers, actors. What do you think we should, going forward, be doing better?
Um, Look, before I even get there, I want to say this. Look, we as a people are a unique people. Ghanaians, especially. We've led the fight for Africa since independence. We are a unique and blessed people. God has blessed us with so much gold, diamond, bauxite, you name it. We've got the largest man-made lake in the world. I mean, look at our human resource capital. We have now oil. God knows what we don't have. Limestone, you name it. So what's stopping us? Is it the politics and the hypocrisy of the day? We have to move beyond that. We have to move beyond the Nokofio Bombaye and the selfishness and the selflessness and to selflessness. And so for me, that's what I'm for. Anybody who is aligned in that direction has my heart and my soul. When I am good and ready to publicly talk politically, I will. When I am comfortable with myself, I will. Till then, I'm a backbencher. And yes, I can whine. And let's face it. I mean, it's not rocket science. We all know that we could have progressed better as a nation. I mean, we all know that. But where you have a nation that politicizes everything, and if I were to say the truth today, no matter how stark the truth was, somebody will twist it around and say it favors one party or the other. My friends who know me know that I'm more than a political animal, but I'm not ready to come out into the public space to deal with politics. I think it can be dealt in many other ways. And it's not about your talk, it's about action. How do you move things? I mean, how is it possible that we were able to, after 20 years, people tried, they couldn't do it. We got a law done. We got a government to move. That's action. It's not coming on air and talking and say me, as for me, and for me, I just say this. We need people who can get things done, not people who want to come and. Right. My name is Inspector Bediako. I love MPP. I love NDC. I love PPP. So what? I love Ghana. I love Ghana. Ghana is my number one. And so I will continue to fight for Ghana.
Indeed, lots of things have been said. The basic line is governments must support the creative arts industry, and for industry players, actors, and he says that you have to think future or be futuristic. That's the bottom line. Don't just think about today, but have an investment prone mentality. A number of things he's been talking about. We hope that government and actors and industry players also come together from a united front and push the creative arts industry. My name is Amefachichi, and this was an interview with Oscar Provencal.